You had to be very strong to make it. I don't know a lot about the journey, except that my great-grandmother, Elizabeth Housel, came by stagecoach. And she would tell my grandmother it wasn't an easy ride. And if you look at the wheels of a stagecoach, there's no rubber. It's just metal on rocks. She didn't get to ride in the stagecoach the whole time. She pushed and herded the cattle as the stagecoach was moving. She walked half the way to California. Now remember, no bathrooms, nothing. They would huddle in a circle and fix a fire, and that's how they lived, coming across the country. It takes great determination to do that. I would say that the determination of the family came from her side because it wasn't an easy journey. Gold had been discovered in 1848. There was great reason to come out west. My dad, George Gaudin, was a very determined person.
George Gaudin built the family business on a foundation of hard work, persistence, and innovation. But the Gaudin family story is about far more than a company's success. From wagon wheels to steering wheels, the family has lived by timeless values. The principles of service to customers and community have guided generations on their journey toward an enduring legacy, one that reflects the family's heritage and inspires its dreams for the future.
Dado had a dream for the automotive industry. He wanted everybody to have a car. He was selling Model A's or Model T's, and he would actually teach people how to drive. If you didn't know how to drive, he would take you out on a dirt road and give you a driving lesson. Then, of course, people were thrilled. Some people had never even been in a car. I don't believe Dado was in the car business strictly to make money. Of course, that's part of it. You could also educate people, have jobs for other people, and help other people provide for their families. He always participated in the parade in Salinas, and he had a car that had big horns on the front of it, and always liked to have people remember his name.
When my grandfather first started selling cars in a rural farming area in Northern California, it was 1923. It was miles of lettuce fields, miles of alfalfa fields, of artichoke fields, and nothing else. Television hadn't been invented yet. Radio had been invented, but it was only used by the military. It was not public yet. George Gaudin was constantly tinkering with Ford products, trying to figure out ways to modify the Ford trucks his father had. That included taking the beds and the cabs off of Model T trucks and putting them on backwards so that the truck would go through the furrows in the lettuce fields without getting stuck in the mud. That was a commercial application of front-wheel drive, and certainly one of the earliest ones we've heard of. The other farmers around the area started to realize George got his lettuce to the farmer's market much quicker, so they would offer to pay him to help modify their vehicles. This is what got the attention of Ford Motor Company. There was somebody out there making Ford vehicles perform better for their customers than Ford was. He realized the opportunity that existed there, and in those days, most of the Ford franchises were bartered or awarded in trade for services. And this is how George Gaudin, at the very young age of 21 years old, became a Ford dealer.
He really was a pioneer in so many ways. He never took no for an answer. So in all of the stories about my grandfather, he was ahead of the pack. He just was strong, very opinionated, incredibly generous and helpful, but really ahead of his time.
He was an early feminist. He always told me you learn how to take care of yourself. You don't rely on some man to take care of you. And he would tell me about stories during the Depression about women coming in with their little babies and to plead that their cars didn't get repossessed. And he said, it's never going to happen to you. You learn how to take care of yourself, which is a pretty powerful message in that time period.
I remember my grandfather trying to make my dad understand how important customer satisfaction was back in the 70s, when it wasn't something that was talked about, it wasn't something that was measured. He always impressed upon my dad and my uncle how important that was to have a really happy customer base, because it would grow all by itself. Our business grew to a point we never envisioned it.
It was the best of times, but then it was the worst time. A personal shock transformed the family business.
Very young in my career, my dad had a really nasty stroke, and it took him out of the business. It's at a very pivotal time in my career. I really wasn't ready to take over the entire business yet, but I didn't have any choice. I loved my father very much, but he was forced to let go. I'm always looking back, wondering what the world would have looked like had the good Lord not stepped in and caused that calamity in my dad's life. So I took over the business, didn't have any choice, and it was kind of a fire drill. Business wasn't good. He was in the hospital. We weren't sure if he'd ever come back, and I had to make sure the business survived. I had to change and learn more about running the business without a mentor sitting at my shoulder. I'll never forget the night when Debbie asked me, when did you stop living for Dad? To some extent, I don't think I ever stopped living with my dad, but at some point in time, I stopped living for my dad. I got to spend 30 plus years of my life working with my dad. I still talk to him a lot. Probably always will talk to him a lot. And I don't care who listens.
Life in the family is characterized by change, but its values remain constant. The voices of Gaudin ancestors speak through the service of successive generations.
There was this passion that my dad and my grandfather both had for being involved in their community. I often tell our team members, if you're not involved in our community in trying to make Las Vegas a better place to live, you're not totally involved in the mission of our business.
I think that philanthropy is just as important as being successful in business. We go to 3 Square and help with food donations. The employees in all of our dealerships volunteer at all of these events, and it's kind of become a way of life in the business, and I think that comes from what we've created as a family unit, just that give forward mentality.
I had a little boy who is one of the lights of my life. My little boy is now 32 years old. Andrew was born with high functioning autism. It became apparent to me through this unique personal experience that I couldn't sit still and watch a whole bunch of other people go through that alone. So today, we are blessed to be involved with the UNLV School of Medicine now. With our efforts, a lot of hard work and a lot of financial donation and a lot of other people's hard work, we'll open the first comprehensive team-based center for autism and neurogenetic disorders that we know of in the United States of America.
The success in the family business can really be traced back to each successive generation. George Gaudin laid the foundation. Brilliant, brilliant man that this all comes from. And then his daughter married my grandfather, Don Ackerman, and he kind of created the Vegas aspect of it and kind of laid all the roots down there. And very traditional, very brilliant man as well. Then my father came in and was able to grow in all these different advanced ways that a lot of dealerships weren't even thinking of doing yet. The way his mind works with business, it's always fascinated me, and I hope I inherited even a fraction of that.
Descendants of George and Opal Gaudin and Don and Jean Ackerman enjoy this auspicious occasion, drawing strength from the past as they travel the road to the future.
He's able to kind of see trends before they hit and implement them and take advantage of them, and it's cool to see how it keeps growing, and it's still growing every day.
Let's go take a walk.
Yeah.
I'm still a child at heart when it comes to cars, especially Porsche.
George would be so proud
if knowing what Gary has done and the legacy that he's carried on, and the legacy has really been carried on with heart and soul.
I almost hate the word legacy attached to me. It would be beyond my wildest dreams for the family story to continue when I'm gone. I can't control that. All I can do is set the table and hope somebody picks up the right fork at the right time. To bring it full circle back to the genesis of our business, I remember my grandfather, he said, what really has worked for me and worked for your father is an attitude. It's not a rule, it's not something that you can buy or write in a rule book. For a business, serving your communities and serving your customers has to be more than what you do. It has to be what you are. Really, what makes you different is the ability not only just to remember a phrase, but to wake up in the morning and feel that way. That's what makes the difference.
George Gaudin's legacy goes beyond company history. It's history in the making. The founder left a trail for present and future generations to follow.
It's no secret that there are very few women in the car business, especially ones who are successful at the jobs that they're in. Many women are intimidated by coming into the dealership. They have a misconception that they might be overcome by salesmen. So that's why it was Gary's idea to start the woman-to-woman buying experience. How it works is that if a woman would like to make a private appointment to meet with me so that they can make intelligent buying decision, when they come in, they have already a name to come and see me, and then we have a private meeting and we figure out their automotive needs together. They feel comfortable with that. And it's worked out very well.
You want your customer, the person you're talking to, whether it's a male or female, to feel like you're not taking advantage of them. You want them to feel like you're trying to help them decide whether they should get a new car or a used car, a truck or a van. And at the same time, they're not thinking that you're a shyster or you're a high-pressure salesman. I let the customer tell me what they want, and then I try to help them with their goal. Integrity maybe came along with that.
Today, 95 years later, that is still the heart and soul of everything we do in every department in all of our stores. And we believe the focus that my grandfather put on the customer first, we shock the customer. But once they see that it's real and it's kind of the culture in our store, they really don't want to go anywhere else. The reason that we focus so much on the past is because we believe it's what will make us successful in the future.
The legacy that we all would like to believe we're engaged in is making a difference in the world, helping customers find joy in their car purchase. And I am honored to be a part of the legacy that we're creating right now.
Gaudin is a multi-generational family business, not just for the founding family. Many families have worked together from one generation to the next, finding fulfillment in the values that drive the company.
We do something that you're not supposed to do. Just about any management manual you look at tells you don't bring family members into the business. We kind of have run the other way for 95 years. It's one of those byproducts of how old the company is and how long it's been around. But we have countless multi-generation employees whose parents work for my parents. So it ties the two together.
I think that Gary's legacy that he wants to pass down is the family aspect of this business. And it's not just his family, it's the families that work for Gary. We have husbands, we have wives that work in the organization. We have fathers and sons who work in the organization. And so his legacy isn't just passing down to his children, but passing down a place for these families and their children to work at. And I think that's just fundamentally different than most organizations.
August 1st, 1997 was my first day of work. And, you know, so the company has changed in a lot of ways in 20 years. However, there's one thing that stays the same, and that's that culture of family for those that are within this group. And so that's something that's not going to change, no matter what happens.